Nobody is watching Japan. That is the biggest mistake in football right now. While the whole world is arguing about Brazil's front three, about Vinicius Junior's pace, and Rodrygo's movement, and Endrick's potential, Japan has been quietly doing something that should terrify every nation at the 2026 World Cup. They have been winning, not scraping wins, not lucky wins. Dominant, tactical, organized, ruthless wins against teams that had no answer for them. And here is the part nobody wants to admit. Japan might be the most complete team at this tournament. Think about what you know about Japan. You probably think of discipline. You think of organization. You think of hard work. You think of a team that tries its best, but eventually runs out of quality when the big moment arrives. You have seen that story before. Plucky underdog goes deep, faces a real football nation, and goes home. But that story is about a Japan that no longer exists. The Japan that walks onto the pitch at the 2026 World Cup is built differently. These players did not grow up idolizing Japanese football. They grew up watching the Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, and then they went and played in those leagues. Not as bench players, not as squad fillers, as starters, as key men. Takefusa Kubo plays at Real Sociedad. He is not a project, he is a weapon. His dribbling, his vision, his ability to unlock defenses in tight spaces, these are qualities you see in the best players in Europe. Every week he goes up against La Liga defenders and leaves them looking foolish. And when he pulls on the Japan shirt, he brings all of that with him. Ritsu Doan, a name every football fan in Europe now knows. After his performances for Freiburg in the Bundesliga, after his goals at the last World Cup, after proving he can perform on the biggest stage, Doan is not an interesting player anymore. He is a dangerous one. And then there is the manager, Hajime Moriyasu. Here is where the story gets really interesting. In Qatar 2022, Moriyasu made a decision that changed football history. Japan were leading Spain 2-1 in their final group game. Spain needed to win. The pressure was enormous. Every traditional football manager would have parked the bus, sat deep, protected the lead, and hoped for the best. Moriyasu did the opposite. He kept his team pressing. He kept his team pushing forward. He trusted his system over his fear. Japan held on. Japan knocked out Germany in that same tournament. Japan became the first Asian team to top a group containing two former World Cup winners. That moment was not luck. That was a manager who had done something quietly radical. He had made Japan believe they belonged. Now imagine what that belief looks like 2 years later, with better players, more experience, and a World Cup being held in North America, where the pitches are wide, the stadiums are enormous, and the tactical battles are decided in the first 30 minutes. Japan press like Liverpool under Klopp. They defend like a team that has memorized every run the opposition striker makes. They transition like a team that has spent years drilling the exact moment to go from defense to attack in under 3 seconds. And Brazil are magnificent. Nobody is denying that. But Brazil have a weakness, and Japan are specifically built to exploit it. Brazil's fullbacks push high. Danilo and whoever lines up on the left will spend significant time in Japan's half. That means space in behind. That means Kubo and Doan running at the defensive line that has been stretched. That means Japan's press cutting off the supply to Vinicius before he even touches the ball. Picture the scene. It is the 2026 World Cup. Group stage. Japan versus Brazil. The Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. Or the Rose Bowl in Los Angeles. 80,000 people expecting a coronation for the South American giants. Minute 7. Japan win the ball high up the pitch. Moriyasu is on his feet. His players sprint into the channels. The ball reaches Kubo on the left. One touch. Caught inside. Strike. The goalkeeper barely moves. Japan led Brazil 1-0. The stadium goes quiet. Social media breaks. Every pundit who spent a week writing off Japan has to scramble for a new angle. And Moriyasu, calm as ever, simply walks back to his technical area and watches his team execute the plan. This is not a fantasy. This is exactly the pattern Japan have shown repeatedly. They are at their most dangerous when nobody believes in them. They are at their most effective when the opposition underestimates them. They score early. They defend deep when they need to. They frustrate. They hit on the counter. Brazil have faced this before and they have struggled. At the 2022 World Cup, Croatia held them and then knocked them out. Croatia were disciplined. Croatia were organized. Croatia were the kind of team everyone assumed Brazil would sweep aside. Japan are more dynamic than Croatia. Japan have more quality in the final third. Japan have a manager who has already proved he can outthink the established football powers on the biggest stage. Here is what nobody is saying, but everybody should be thinking. The team that stops Brazil in 2026 might not be France, might not be England, might not be Argentina. It might be a group of Japanese players who grew up watching El Clasico on television, went to Europe to prove they belonged, and came home to represent a nation that is no longer satisfied with surviving the group stage. Japan do not want to be a good story. They want to be champions. And the rest of the world? They are too busy arguing about Brazil's front three to notice that is exactly how Japan wants it. Subscribe for more football and sports, what if related content.